prefer to use aggregators. So it's upon you also, as we were told, research. Ask, these resources are within ourselves. Ask amongst yourselves which is the best aggregator that you've worked with. And they keep you posted on the progress of your content. Also be interested in what is happening. So yes, there are aggregators who buy and distribute. Also, there are content markets. Like this one, this is the first content market in Zambia. For those who probably have attended others, there used to be Discop, which used to take place in Johannesburg and Kigali. Early this month, there was MIP Africa in Cape Town, and there are many other smaller content markets. So we tackled a bit on self-distribution because it's not upon you to just give other people content to distribute for you. It's upon you also to understand what opportunities are there. So yes, there are many other spaces. And also, the other thing I'll say, understand the types of rights that exist, video on demand, because you can monetize on all these places. He's talked about in-flight, he's talked about pay TV, free-to-air stations, and free-to-airs also are many. So it's upon you, have that business mind, be a smart negotiator when you're dealing with anyone who's buying your content. Approach those buyers as a business person.
Right, thank you so much. Good afternoon, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. Like he said, I was hoping, I recently had a privilege to attend a festival of this nature in Morocco, and they would bring us into groups. When you talk of content buying, or how to get into your content where, they'll tell you, they'll break it down. If you are into small films, short story films, there are these platforms. This is how you access them. If you are doing soap operas, there are these platforms. These platforms, for you to access them, this is the procedure. These are the budgets they look at. But what I'm hearing here is just like we are sweeping through. We're just talking, we're not getting to them, to sharing real information on how. For example, there's a hanging question, maybe I missed it. Where is the money? I didn't hear where the money is. All I'm hearing is research, no. Where is the money? How do I get the money as a filmmaker? The money, I'll give you an example. A few weeks ago, everybody else was talking about boarding houses in my area and how I could turn the small portion, which was my garden, into a boarding house. But where is the money for me to do the what? To make the boarding house. So what did I do? I went to the local guy, the Turkish guy who makes blocks. I told him, if you give me 1,000 blocks, in 1 month time, I'd have been done with this house. You will get the rentals. We share the rentals with the what? The students. You get this half. I go into the guy with a container who sells cement. Give me 50 bags of cement. In a month's time, there'll be this and there'll be tenants who will share in this manner. I went to the local builder. Now, I'm telling you how I ended up having a one-room, bedroom flat. These are the processes. If you ask where is the money, and you say you research, you all these things, where is the money? Last night, I met Dr. Paul Willow, the other gentleman. The money is in connections. The money is not just about having a huge account with FNB. The money is me coming to OWAS and say, OWAS, I'm doing this movie. I don't have the money right now to hire a gimbal. Can I use your gimbal? The money is in me coming to Mr. Makumba. I don't have sound. I've got this vision. Can I use your sound? Eventually, we have this product and we sell. We are talking about connections. We're talking about, the money is with FNB. Go to FNB. If you present them this, they'll give you this much. If you present this. Those are the issues we want to hear here. How do we get the money? Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for that. I think when that question came up, I answered from I'll say from my perspective, the money is in production. And why did I say that? I was trying to explain to people, as a producer, just like you've said, your money is in production. It begins with your budget. When you have a concept, how much do you need to create that concept? If your concept needs $1 million to be created and you don't have $1 million, you go to your production budget, because that's where you start working from. And ask yourself, I can't afford a gimbal, what can I use as an alternative? I can't afford this, that, and the other. What do I change in my budget to make it work? Nobody gives filmmakers a chunk of money and says, here's $1 million so you can create a film. And even funders who do give funding, they will never give it to you upfront. It comes in small portions and bits at a time. Remember that as producers. So I'll say the same thing I said before. Money is in your production budget. When you sit down with your idea, if you have an idea, sit down and budget and ask yourself, how much will it take to create this concept into a full-fledged movie that I can sell? And if your budget comes to a total of $1 million, you need to realize you need $1 million. If you don't have $1 million, then start scouting your friends and say, oh, I am a producer, can you direct for me? Let's do a profit share once we sell it. You now have a director. And then you walk up to the next person and say, do you have cast? That instead of me holding a whole casting process, who can I work with who has a database of cast that I can do callbacks on? I've saved money on my production budget. So money in film is in your production budget. And that's where filmmakers locally are missing the point. Is film is business, and business is budgeting. So anybody here who has content anywhere, the first thing they do is say, we need money for wardrobe, for makeup, for transport, for catering. All those things are real costs. And the moment you sit down and create that budget, you then know how much you need and where you can save, so you as the filmmaker make money. By the time you've finished making your movie, you still have to spend on marketing it. That's another budget that must be in there. By the time you sell it, trust me, it's a long process. So everybody, and I always get this question, how do I get the money? The question is, what is your budget? And your budget comes from your idea. I've seen people walk up to me and say, I have an action movie I want to shoot. Really? Do we have that type of equipment? Are you sure you'll pull it off to that quality? And even with the investor that came today, he was very clear. He said, so many people come forward, and the first thing we ask is budget. Investors ask for budget. That will tell them whether you as a filmmaker understand film and understand how you want to make money out of film.
Okay. Please take 1 minute. Let's take just those last two questions, and then we have to really end the session. So can he get a mic?
Hello everyone, my name is Emmanuel Mwape. I have two questions. My first question is, what are some of the challenges that you have encountered with distributors and how have you overcome them? Then the second question is, how have you been able to identify the right distributors to distribute your films, considering that we have distributors who are crooks, and do you do audits for your films? Thank you very much.
Mr. Emmanuel, who you are targeting the question? Oh, it's just telling.
Please repeat it.
Okay, I'll begin with the last one. The truth of the matter is that we can never run away from crooks. Crooks is a big business in the world today, okay? And I was speaking to, I don't know if Raphael is here. Raphael was telling me to say, through his distribution, he has encountered a lot of people that have crooked him and have never sent his money, but yet their films have been distributed. So it's business. If we remember in our school days, it's about, when you're asked what's business, the risk-taking ability of an entrepreneur to make money. So it's not, you can't run away from that. So that's a big challenge, and it's always there. We can't, but then, again, if we speak to each other, through Paul Willow, Paul is actually the one who actually emphasized to me to say, no, if you work with media pros, they are very good. And I asked him this question, and if he was here, he would answer. I would say, but are you sure you trust them? They are not people that we are going to start keeping on calling and say, no, they're actually very good. I think I've not had a problem with them when they promoted Maria Christa. So yeah, that is my stand on that.
Emma, repeat the other question she wants to.
I think I want to point out, their question was, what are some of the challenges that you have encountered with your distributors, and how have you overcome them? Then the other part was, do you do audits for a film? Because once distributors give you a report, you're able to, you can ask to audit the finances. Do you also do the audits for your films after they sell the film?
Is it financial audit or auditing how? That's a very powerful one. Eh? I actually sat down with, I'm not going to mention which platform. They gave me a contract. Just by looking at the contract, I asked them who created this contract. And I said, for as long as this contract still remains, I can assure you if you don't change it, most of the guys that have distributed films who understand what contracts are, they'll think this is a joke. Because we understand VOD, all these kind of things, so you need to understand what. And I think later on I started hearing stories, and then I was like, I was right, because I knew to say this sort of thing doesn't work. But again, if we bounce off from each other, we can always learn who is the right distributor. I worked with iFlix in Malaysia. iFlix in Malaysia are very good, but they are so much into quality. They probably can return the film to you even 10 times. You keep changing stuff, and you keep they're able to get even small little intermediate thing in sound and all that. So those are some of the people that you can work. There's also Africa Unite, if you check them out. I think the idea is not having to make so much money from one distributor, but you can even have your film go into 3, 4, 5 other distributors. The most key is the contract. Don't go with a contract that is going to tie you down exclusively for 5 years. It means you can't sell elsewhere. But go for that one that will say, look, you can sell here, you can sell here, you can sell, so that you are getting like $1,500. The other side is there's this one, and they normally give 6 months to 1 year time frame.
Good afternoon. Just before the microphone was taken away from me. When I look at this panel, I see a few privileged individuals that have knowledge that so many filmmakers don't have. Even when we talk about filmmakers don't support each other, I feel this, to some extent I don't agree with it. Even when I go for premieres, most of the times the people that I see are fellow filmmakers with a less number from just the ordinary Zambian. So I just want to pose a question to ZMBC and also to Mr. Mwape and Dodia. What are you doing to help filmmakers out there to have this knowledge that you've shared with us? Look, if I didn't come here, I wouldn't have known. If I don't know Paul Weed, I wouldn't have a chance to call him and say, what are you doing for distribution? What delivery things are you doing to make sure that filmmakers beyond Lusaka, even Lusaka, but in other places, that are able to know the right channels? I would challenge ZMBC, which I know is also my employer. Before someone from Kalomo sells a goat to make a film, which you are going to reject, why don't you teach that person how to go about it before they do all those losses? There are a lot of passionate filmmakers out there that are producing, but they're producing wrongly. Why? Because people are privileged like you have never given themselves time to go and educate them. I myself am from Livingston. I had a boot camp for a month where I studied the class. But I'm not as knowledgeable to everything as everyone else. So what I'm saying, what are you doing? Because at some point you'll be judged on what have you done to the industry. Believe me, today, if what happens to Malawi happens to Zambia's Magic today, most of these guys will be jobless. What are you doing to help the industry now so that we can even build for cinema? People can make money like, can you see us as made money for people? So what are you doing deliberately to make sure that a filmmaker who is not in this forum doesn't make those mistakes or does it the right way? Thank you so much.
I'll start. No, I think there's a lot that is being done. We were talking here when Mr. Henry was asking, where is the money? The problem is that we want to be given the fish. Guys, can we learn how to fish? There's number 2, which I said, this is a business. That's why we are here. In business, you don't just tell someone, peleka huko. No, that's not how it's done. We understand the processes. On my side, I'm going to answer on my side. How am I doing it? When I discovered to say film is a business, I looked at it from a different angle. Most people, when they look at film, they think it's only getting things being done, getting cameras cast. No, that's not film itself. If you look at the National Arts Council Act, for example, you will understand that there are so many people, line ministries, all of them are there. Ministry of Commerce will be looking at the marketing. Ministry of Education will be looking at the faculties that will be presented. Look at the ZNBC Amendment Act of, 2010? Yeah. All those things are giving us knowledge. The National Arts Council Act of 1994, all those things are giving us knowledge. What is that telling us? It's telling us that as a business, you can choose where you're going to be. You can come up with a company that will strictly be looking at creating sets, art department. That's a business. And what have I done? I created an academy because I knew I cannot help each and every person. So when I created an academy, I had the first students who were there, and then I went out there to bring skills transfer, talked with the Indians came, and I started doing a skills transfer. Today, if you look at my students, I have not only given them, but I was telling them to say, I don't want to show you how you can get, but I want you to learn how the process we've gone through, what it is like to even pitch, to get a project from Zambia's Magic, to pitch, to get stuff going out there. When they learn, you're creating a much bigger. Again, it comes back to what she says. That's research. You begin from there. It's a process. But if you're going to begin from the last end there, it's going to be very, very difficult because they won't understand. And that's why I think most producers here would believe me. When we hire people in productions, a lot of them don't know anything. Even on this series, today they will come, tomorrow they will tell you I'm in Chirundu. Why? It's because they don't understand. So why is it? It's important. We need people to create schools. Teach them. When you teach them, when they come out, then they know to say, okay, my next thing is to go and audition. An audition is what? It's like an application. No one is just going to pick you. The problem is we are trying to take film as a charity organization where people should know the government should do this. No. It took Nigeria so many years before the government actually now decided to be part and parcel of the film industry, when they saw that they were moving. So there is a lot of things that are happening. We are teaching a lot of people. But what are the people from Umpika or Livingston doing? Okay? I can't just stand up from here. Surely, at least Mr. Mwape come, will pay for your bus and come. No, I will come. But you want again, as a business, you want me to jump into my own fuel? No, that's not how it works. You teach them that side. So no, if you want to come and help us, let's organize ourselves and let's get the help. Mr. Henry will go to Northwestern Province. Mr. Henry, put him on a plane. He's a very expensive man. He goes there, he sees how he's being, he's going to give out that knowledge. Okay? So that's how it starts, gentlemen. So that's how it is. For me, that's how I can answer it.
I want to quickly add one. Oh, do you want to go ahead?
Oh, yeah, let me just answer the part where he's making reference to ZNBC as what role we are playing, just making sure that we equally contribute to the growth of the film industry. We are just one of the major players in the industry, and I think we've tried to do our part. I think you will realize that as we began this discussion, I did mention that we've opened up the process of acquiring content to literally the whole country. You remember that back in the days, we could acquire content from a very few pool of experienced film producers. But what our processes are now doing is that we are now getting content through a public process, a public tender process. What this has done is that instead of concentrating on those experienced and privileged producers who know the processes, who have the good content, who would walk in and we get their content, we've opened it up in such a way that in the past 3 years, we've now acquired content for the first time from as far as Chipata. There's a local drama series that is running on ZMBC, all the way from Chipata. And what this has done is that we've equally relaxed, those stringent, requirements, looking into the production itself. We've relaxed it in such a way that we know that the industry is still growing. We won't get the very best, for example, from Chipata or from Mungo and all that. So we are giving them that opportunity to let them have this exposure of the national broadcaster. We pay them for the license fees, and from there, we are optimistic that they are going to improve on the next production that they bring to ZMBC. And we've been open as a national broadcaster. I think the traffic that we have from producers that come in to get advice on how best they can go about to bring content or to how standards they need to meet and the like. We've done our part, especially that as a national broadcaster, we are operating on very limited resources. We would want to travel and meet these producers right into their districts where they are producing these films and impart the necessary knowledge. But we are hoping that as time goes on, this is the approach that we want to take. But as it stands now, if you watch ZMBC channels now, you will see a lot more content that ordinarily you would not have seen it on your national broadcaster. So we are doing the little that we can to support the film industry.
Okay, sorry, we have to end it at this. And as we said, this is a content market. The purpose is for us to network and get to know each other. So I know you have lots and more questions. So we'll take now this meeting outside. There's a networking area that has been created, and that's also where the next panel discussion is taking place. There's a setup outside there. So a round of applause for these amazing people. Thank you so much. So as you see, the next session will be facilitated and moderated by Henry, and we will be discussing how to build inventory of African content, and that's also an aspect that has been touched here. So how do we ensure we continually create our story? So let's go outside and continue these conversations. Thank you.
Okay, sorry, just a disclaimer, part of going outside. So we have two things on the table. So there will be screening in here of movies and also a panel discussion outside there. So we'll be running these events concurrently like that because of time. And I'm sure if you have questions for the panelists, do approach them and interact with them, and we'll move into that accord. Without further ado, I'll allow the screening to begin. Those who want to follow the discussion, which will be happening just when you exit, which is